What's going on, beautiful people? We are so excited for you to be a part of this journey because little did you know, you're a part of something that you didn't know you needed.
Welcome to the Mental Max Out podcast, where we like to bring our living room conversations to your living room, or your drive, or your gym workout, wherever you might be tuning in from. We thank you so much for being here.
And it's probably going to be a baby running around, but deal with it.
That's life.
What's going on, beautiful people? We are back again, live and in color, from the living room in front of our live studio audience, Serena.
We are so thankful if you are tuning in with us again this week just to chat about life and love and goals and, all the things that we like to talk about here at Mental Max Out that we hope week to week has been helping you.
So before we get rolling, this came straight down from corporate, aka Allison and Serena. We're going to start this off with a little dad joke. Don't grill me. I hope they get funnier. Here we go. How did I know my wife thought I was invading her privacy? She wrote about it in her diary.
That was not funny.
That's a dad joke.
No, but that was bad.
That's why they're dad jokes. They're dry and they need like chia pet seeds and water and love and care to be like.
Without knowing it, you bring up an interesting debate. Is it ever okay to read your partner's diary?
I'm going to go on a limb and say yes. Because if it falls open to a particular page, I'm not going to say I don't give it a good glance before I close it back.
So you're saying every morning I do my journal time, read my Bible, do my thing, and if I leave my stuff on the couch, get up, go about my Saturday, and I forget to put it up and it's just open, then it's free reign because it's open to the house.
Again, you do that and it's closed. It's closed. But I'm not saying if it was open and it was like Akeem and like had exclamation.
You're like, oh, why is she pissed?
Yeah, and like has several underlines under it. I'm not going to say I'm just going to close it and be like, well, that's my darling, sweet honey. I'm going to be like, who's she cursing at all caps?
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, okay, here's my thing with keeping a journal or keeping a diary, right? I will say that I often think about when Serena grows up, she's going to have these notebooks that we've written in throughout the years, and it might be really cool for her to see, like, what her parents were struggling with, what they were going through. Like, hopefully it holds space for her when she's older. But at the same time, I really like to write. And I feel like sometimes I can only really get my thoughts out on paper, which is really therapeutic for me. But I don't know that I actually put things in my journal that are things that I wouldn't feel comfortable talking to you about. But I don't think that's every couple. I'm comfortable with the things I'm writing in there. If there is something related to you, like, we would have talked about it already.
Well, you got to thank Mean Girls for that.
The Burn Book.
The Burn Book. I think when the Burn Book came out and Regina George was writing about all types of people and they were calling her a jungle freak, I think that traumatized little girls everywhere to being like, I'm willing to write things down, but I'm only willing to write certain things down. And I just think that they like their privacy, but they know they can't have all their privacy because that movie has like set the precedent for you better be careful what you putting out there because somebody might find it and expose you.
Well, that's interesting. And absolutely nothing related to what we had planned on talking about today, but I love it. Somebody told me recently that I seemed like a glass half full kind of a person. And I was really actually kind of honored that they thought that because I try to be this really positive person, but I'm gonna tell you what, sometimes that glass is not half empty, it's empty.
Drip.
Like,
ain't nothing in there.
Like, when you get the last of the avocado oil out of the thing and you're like, oh, there's at least a tablespoon, but by the time it runs down the side of it, there's like 2 drops left. Yeah, sometimes that's how I feel. So the fact that people think that I'm a glass half full kind of person just is really cool. And so it got me thinking, can't you be both? Like, why do you have to be one or the other?
I think that's a very great perspective of why can't you be one or the other. And I think the reason why we look at it that way is society makes it so hard to say you're both because we're in the age where this is the smartest we've ever been, most technology we've ever had. All these things are at our fingertips. So the only way that you should be going is up. But that's not realistic. It's not true. There's stressful things. Things turn in an instant. That's just not life. that always things are going your way. And I think when you kind of look at yourself and you're like, oh, shoot, I'm not a half full kind of person, then it almost gives you the stigma of like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not happy with all the things I have, happy where I am at? And then I start to fall in the realm of compare, compare, compare. So I believe you can be both, but the world we are living in today makes it feel like that's an impossible thing because you're always looking at someone that has a full cup or their cup is more full than yours. And so you start to now look at, dang, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not there? What else do I need to be doing to get to where they are?
Because it's situational, right? Sometimes I look at a sticky situation and I can see the positive in it. I can see, okay, this is kind of a bummer, but here's what we're going to do to fix it. And I am glass half full. But other times I look at a sticky situation and I'm just like, oh, heck no. This is the end of the world. There's nothing that can be done to save it. But you're right. The perception that we see on social media, what other people choose to share is the half full moments. People don't share when they're feeling negative. People don't share when times are tough and they're feeling really, really down about it. But I do think that in situations where you have a choice to make, every situation you have a choice to make. Do you look at this positive or look at it negatively? And honestly, I don't think there's a right or a wrong. My coworker told me this recently. She said, Allison, I've just decided that I'm going to stop getting worked up with things that don't concern me. Because, we all gossip at work and we all talk about, the who's and the what's what. She and I would get on the phone and we would just go in on coworkers and situations and decisions that have nothing to do with our jobs. Let's be honest. They're adjacent to our job, but they really don't impact our job. And finally, she just said, you know what, Allison? I'm not doing it anymore. I am not getting worked up over something that does not affect my paycheck. And it was so cool because you know what I did? I said, same.
To be so aware to say, I'm no longer going to allow myself to be affected by things I cannot control takes such a high level of thinking. Because here's one thing I fall victim to, and I've gotten a lot better at this, but this is one thing I think a lot of people fall victim to. From the moment you wake up to you put on your clothes and do what you want to do around the house or leave the house, you have probably already been on your phone for 5 minutes. And even in that little bit of time, I have already seen into someone else's life. And I think it's so hard to say, I'm not going to concern myself with other people when that's your daily routine. And so to live in a space where you're like, I'm not going to do that is like literally putting these safeguards in place to say, I'm now going to do something else. So instead of me waking up and I pick up my phone and I start scrolling for a few, as I'm eating my breakfast, I'm scrolling for a few, I'm going to do something else because I no longer want to be concerned with other people's stuff. And I think that's very powerful. Because I'm telling you, it is so hard to say that person not doing their job does not concern me. That person wasting tons and tons of money does not concern me. That person saying outlandish things on the news does not concern me. And it's like, it's hard to do that. In order to keep your sanity, sometimes you need to be willing to do that. You need to put yourself in spaces where you can take a step back, and then that will start to fill your cup up of life.
You mentioned something that's really important about putting safeguards up, because I think that you have said this before. A ship only goes down when you allow water into it. And so if you're letting in people's junk and opinions and whatever else, it's easy to be, well, yeah, dang, the people around me are negative, so I'm going to be negative too. On the flip side, if the people around you are positive, it's easier to be positive, but first and foremost, why wait for the people around you to decide their mood for you to decide yours?
Well, it goes back to that saying, misery loves company, right? And so if I'm negative, I want to find other negative people, and I want to be around people that think like that.
What do they call that? Commiserating? Like,
those are like $10 vocabulary
Oh,
words.
okay.
I can't afford those words for what you're trying to say. The reason why it's so hard for people is you have to step out and do it first. And here's the crazy thing about social media and however you feel about it. The majority of the people that we feel are successful, or we feel that, man, they're living a life that we don't have, it's the fact that they're willing to step out and be different. Your way of thinking is no different than that. If you want to be positive, you have to step out and be different. If you want to start to think about how your life is going, you have to step out and be different, because nobody's going to knock on your door and say, "Hey man, you are so awesome," and just going about their day. Like, it's our world is not like that. And you really have to be the one to generate it. I know in a lot of situations, a lot of famous people are like, "I just did this every single day." And you're like, "Man, you make that look so easy." But truthfully, when it comes to your mind, it is just making a decision and trying your best to stay as consistent for as long as possible.
You're right, because you read all these books. There's 9 million self-help books. These are the tricks, the ABC 1, 2, 3s of how I changed my life, right? And the common thing of all of them are that whatever the method is, you just did it. The person just decided one day, I'm going to do something different. So it doesn't matter what self-help train you choose to get on. It doesn't matter what theory or method or book that you're reading that is the next best thing. The point is that you actually do it, because I think a lot of times we take advice or we hear what other people are doing and we say, "Oh, that sounds good for you. That sounds great that you were able to do that." And we have a hard time taking that on ourselves.
Well, that's why fitness is so popular, because fitness is one of those industries where it's not one thing that made you become this way. If you stick to it long enough, you can actually see a difference. And then people start to believe, "Oh, because I see a difference, they're now more confident." Just because your body's changing doesn't mean you're more confident. They just stepped out and said, "I'm going to be more confident to fit my body." And so fitness is one of those things where they force people to be like glass half full kind of people. "Here's this workout that I'm doing. Pay for it and you'll get the same kind of booty butt." All those people seem like they got it together, but they have to sell that in order for you to be like, "I want that life." But it's truly the choice in saying, "I want that life. I'm going to step out and be willing to do that."
And you have to navigate the pressure from the other side all the time. If you want to be a glass half full person, you are going to always be surrounded by glass half empty people. And to your point, you're going to have to decide, no, I don't want that. That doesn't serve me. And every day you have to be the rebel. You have to be the one that is saying, "I don't want that for me," and make the decision of, nope, I chose every day this week to wake up and think of 3 things that are positive. I chose every day to wake up and do these 4 things that are going to help me stay in a good mood today, right? You can do those things. You can wake up and say, "I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to sit outside because the weather is nice. I'm going to read my book," and that is what will start my day off on a positive note. But if you check your phone while you're walking outside and you get negative news or a complaint from somebody, it instantly has the power to shift what you already decided you were going to do to have a good day. So then you have to navigate that and say, nope, that's not going to serve me right now. I'm going to continue doing what I said I was going to do to have a good day. Because just like in the fitness industry, yes, you can buy that program to get you a butt. You still have to wake up and get a workout in when you don't feel like it. There are always negative aspects of anything positive.
Not only that, but it's like when people find out that I like fitness, they say to me all the time, "Can I get a program?" And I'm so quick to be like, "No," because you're not willing to choose to be different. You think the program is going to make you different. And because you think the program is going to make you different, you're not choosing every day what's going to have to go into it. The sacrifices, like you said, you're going to have to turn down food. You're going to have to sacrifice some family time to make it to the gym or make this workout happen. And people don't want to do that. When it comes to like literally being a glass half full kind of person, you have to try to be that every single day. And not only that, you have to surround yourself with glass half filled kind of people, because they're going to be taking from your cup or adding to your cup. And you don't want to be surrounding yourself with half empty people, because guess where your cup's going to be going? Trying to please them, make them happy, make them want to feel good. And guess what? You're going to be drained by the end of the day.
So you're saying in order to be a half full person, you have to be around people that are pouring into your cup, making it more full, not taking from it and making it more empty.
Facts. You have to be that every day, and you have to find those people. I don't care where you find them. But if they're not a half full kind of person, you got to be really careful of how you talk to them, the secrets you share with them, how you're trying to fulfill that space in their life. And I think in a lot of situations, here, let me just get on my little box for a second.
Okay, get on your box, babe.
I think in a lot of situations, people are half empty in relationships and they go to someone else and say, "Can you fill my box? Can you fill my cup?" That's not the way to be. You should be bringing a half full kind of energy to the relationship, and the other person should want to keep up with you. But if you're going to that other person saying, "I'm empty, can you fill me up today for the
Ain't gonna
next
work.
5 years?" It ain't gonna work.
It's like the Smokey the Bear, right? Only you can prevent wildfires. Isn't that the saying?
Yeah.
It's like only you can decide that you're gonna change your mind and change your way of thinking, because at the end of the day, you can't depend on other people. Your situation and circumstance are always gonna change, and there's always going to be a pressure to do something different, and there's always gonna be a reason to get frustrated. It could be the hangnail on your finger, the kid who dumps her water bottle upside down in the living room floor and says, "Uh-oh." That happens a lot to us around
A
here.
little bit.
It could be those situations that make you want to have that glass half full mentality that you have to be the one to decide, no, nope, that's not going to bother me today.
And I'm going to tell you, and again, I don't care what self-help book you're looking at. If you're in a relationship and you're expecting the other person to fill your cup,
I don't have enough juice for that.
they do not have enough juice for that. And guess what? It's going to run out. You have to bring the juice every day, because that will then motivate them to bring their level up to meet you. If you are doing the opposite, it ain't going to last and it ain't going to work.
What you said is so powerful. You can't fill other people's cups. You just can't. Be responsible. Because think about that. You have to be responsible for your cup, your spouse's cup, your children's cup, your family's cup. No. Your coworker's cup? Absolutely not. You just can't be. All you can be worried about is you and your cup. And hopefully you worrying about your cup actually has a positive impact around you, right? It's like when you become a mom and everything in your world changes to be centered around this like small, tiny alien that's in your house now. You forget who you are. If you've gone through the postpartum phase, you know that the moment that you start to pour back into yourself a little bit, your house kind of starts to calm down. Your mood gets better. Your relationship gets better. Your kids calm down, because you have to pour into yourself first. Like, you have to fill your cup in order for other people to get the best versions of themselves, but also in order for you to get the best version of yourself. I want to have fun during my workouts. I don't want to work out to fill my cup so that I can just pour it into everybody else all day. No, I want to experience the benefit of having a full cup.
Let me tell you something. To all you mothers out there, what an experience. And I truly believe you never leave that postpartum. I just think you know how to manage it a little bit better, because you are trying to do so much. To your point, you're trying to fill so many different cups. And again, right, this little baby is now in the house and they don't know anything. So you've got to be responsible for them. But what about you and your family? And your relationship was doing well before all of that. And your relationship was good before all that. But now you're in a situation where you're like, how do I get back to me? That's just pouring back into the things you like to do. What did you enjoy before all of that?
What do you enjoy? The way to fill your cup is to do the things that you enjoy to do. I think so often we get so just bogged down with work, parenting, life, that we forget to do things that we like to do, or honestly, we forget to look at those things as things we like to do. I love being a mom, but if I'm constantly looking as being a parent as something that's bogging me down, I'm never gonna look at it as if it's filling my cup. I also love my job, and I love the amazing things I get to do at my job to help people. But if all I ever do is look at it like it's a task and I don't want to do it and I don't want to drive there and I don't want to deal with my coworkers, then of course I am not going to enjoy it. If I look at all the things in my life that I'm thankful and blessed and lucky enough to do as something that could be filling my cup as opposed to be taking away from my cup, then I think I would have a much better outlook. Then I think I would be like, oh, okay, actually, this isn't that bad. Could I be upset that I have to drive an hour to work? Yes. But in that hour, I either get to listen to my podcast, I get to call my friends, I get to call my family, check in with people that I haven't checked in with. in a while, listen to music. I mean, there are so many positive things about that drive that when I'm walking out the door thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this, that's what I then have to shift my mentality to. And those are just ways that help me shift that focus into thinking about something that normally you would look at as, oh, yep, I'm wasting an hour of my day. Could be doing something else. But what it's doing is building in time for me to do something that fills my cup. Parenting is no different. Exercise is no different. Your relationship is no different. There's just a different way to look at it. So you always have the option, glass half full or glass half empty.
Man, I really love what you said there, because at the end of the day, that then means you are the one responsible for adding to the cup, or you are the one to blame for the reason why the cup is empty.
Keep them accountable.
Come on now. Come on.
That's good.
You are the reason why people are looking at you saying, you are so energetic and you have life all the time. It's because I find reasons to be thankful and positive.
It's like that song from the early 2000s, that Hoobastank song that's like, I found a reason to know.
If you're a music producer, that was our This Is the Voice.
Outside of me,
We just
you
asked
didn't
for a turn
know.
a chair turn right there.
Thank you.
Just one.
I know
just
I said
one
a couple
judge.
weeks ago I was going to stop singing, but I don't think I will.
It was a lie. But yeah, you are the reason. And I'm telling you, when you look at how full is your cup, just look at how you perceive your day. Are you one of those people that when one thing goes wrong, you're saying, oh, my whole day is ruined?
Sometimes I am.
I know.
And you have to remind me that's not the way to think.
I know. But
Because I've surrounded myself with positive people. Because you're
Correct.
gonna have those days. Like, oh my goodness. Like, you're gonna have those days where everything just sucks. And you know what? That's okay. Like, that is okay. And if today's one of those days, I see you. Because it's just gonna happen. And we're not saying, hey, don't ever feel like things are awful. Don't ever feel like things suck. What we're saying is, hey, you can get out of it.
And not only can you get out of it, you can choose to be new every single day. And then the people you come encounter with will start to meet and match your level. And you'll now start to have a whole different outlook because of one choice you're willing to make.
Akeem and I like to ask each other this question every so often. And I think we've talked about it before, but every once in a while we ask each other at the end of the day, hey, what was your happy and what was your crappy? Because it gives us an opportunity to reflect on the crappy and what kind of sucked today, and just hold space for it to say, hey, this was kind of negative, but on the flip side, this thing happened today and it was really awesome. And without a doubt, every time we do it, guess what? We spend more time talking about the happy than the crappy, because positivity really overflows that negative space if you allow it to. And I think it's a good way to just look at the whole end of the spectrum and respect that you might have multiple emotions throughout the day and you might experience both things throughout the day, and that's okay.
But we don't want to dwell on them. And when you don't dwell on them, you then can start to fill your cup back up, and you can feed back into your life positive thoughts, emotions, and now things that were not going your way are starting to just be amazing and feel great all the time.
I challenge you this week to fill somebody else's cup up.
Come on.
Fill somebody else's cup up. Fill your cup up. Find ways throughout the week to just pour a little bit in at a time. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. Just trickle it in throughout the week, and you'll be amazed at how much better you feel as you go about your business.
You got this. Be kind to somebody.
Thank you so much for tuning in with us this week. We hope that you took from our conversation something that will help you grow this week.
We hope you laughed, didn't cry, but definitely got a good smile out of it, because, heck, we always appreciate you coming by.
If you're so inclined, follow us on social media at Mental Max Out the podcast on Instagram.
Tell your friends.
See you next time.